Hi everyone, and welcome to Wellbeing Wednesday. We're on week 4 of our Mindful May series, and today's a very special one. It's not my usual setup. Today we are live with Karen Farrell, the founder of Mindful Station. How are you? All right?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me.
It's lovely to have you. It really is. Karen, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Mindful Station?
Sure. I founded Mindful Station at the beginning of the year. I basically trained as a mindfulness coach, and then I basically wanted to bring mindfulness to people's workstations now that everyone is working from home, and therefore loneliness, depression, anxiety is likely to be considered one of the biggest health concerns for the future. So my aim is to bring a bit of peace and calm to people's workstations, wherever that might be, whether it's at home, at work. I'm just wanting to bring a bit of mindfulness.
That's great. And you do coffee with Karen on Wednesdays as well, don't you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I do coffee with Karen every Wednesday at 10:30, and it's basically a 20-minute bite-size, simple and practical introduction to mindfulness. We basically do sort of a 5-minute chat about a theme, and then we do a 10-minute kind of guided meditation, and then I just kind of wrap it up in the sort of final 5 minutes. But the whole purpose of Coffee with Karen is to give you that 20 minutes that is time for yourself, to be yourself. And I always sort of endeavor to make people leave the session feeling better than when they arrived.
That's great. That's such a good thing, especially about mindfulness, is that being on your own and being yourself, like genuinely, authentically.
Exactly.
Makes a big difference, doesn't it? So it's so nice to have had that, to have that 10 minutes, 20 minutes or so every day, and so great that you can facilitate that for people as well.
Thank you.
So you've kept up with some of our Wellbeing Wednesday videos, and obviously it's all on mindfulness at the moment and Mindful May. You are a little bit like me when it comes to being kind of quite critical about things, and which is great because people need evidence to know that things work and stuff like that. So I thought we'd just touch on a few of those things, if that's all right, and just ask you a few questions. That would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, how were you first introduced to mindfulness?
So, my journey into mindfulness was very much one of curiosity. I wasn't suffering from any kind of clinical depression or anxiety, although mindfulness is fantastic for that. But what I was suffering from was just down days where I would feel really low, really anxious. I'd think, what am I doing with my life? And then I'd start thinking about the past, worrying about the future. And this brief moment of sadness, anger, irritation would end up putting me in a bad mood. And then this bad mood would cloud my entire day, sometimes my entire week. So I was curious about mindfulness because everyone who practices it always talks about the benefits. So I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. So I basically did a 4-week course. And afterwards, I was like, this is amazing. I love it. I really want to pursue this. And then I became a mindfulness coach. And now I'm kind of on a mission to bring mindfulness to the modern age and demonstrate the positive impact that it can have on your well-being.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's so for myself, it was I can't even remember how I was introduced to mindfulness. So it's just one of those things that I think I probably saw an advert about it and then thought that looks quite good, and then gave it a go and thought I don't really understand what I'm doing, and then had to do a lot of research and stuff into it for myself. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
was
that makes sense.
definitely very skeptical. I was like, mindfulness, meditation, boring.
Yeah.
That was kind of my perception. And it wasn't until I actually, I guess, practiced it that I could see the benefits of it.
Perfect. That's great. How did you get over that skepticism then? So you say it was sort of just the practice of it, and I suppose the 4-week course probably helped
Yeah.
that.
So definitely the way I got over it was I just put aside my judgment. Now, a huge aspect of mindfulness is to be non-judgmental. And, as humans, we are constantly judging ourselves, judging others, judging, situations and events. And I was very judgmental about mindfulness. And I basically just put that aside. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to be open to this and I'm curious. So I just put aside my judgment and I did it. And I'm not going to lie, to begin with, I was like, I'm not sure this is for me. But then I started to feel and see the benefits of it. And that's why it's called a practice, because you have to practice mindfulness.
That's exactly it. It's not like a, you know, you're going to feel amazing overnight kind of situation, is it? But you kind of keep doing it. And when you
Exactly.
regularly have it happen and practice it, that you really notice the difference, and you can feel it. If you do it first thing in the morning, you still feel different at night.
Exactly. And I always say to people, there's no point practicing a bit of mindfulness on a Sunday night before a busy week thinking, I want to be relaxed and calm. You have to do it on a regular basis. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do it for an hour, even just 60 seconds, but yeah, it is a practice.
Absolutely, I agree, definitely. What's the difference that it's made from your mental well-being? If you were to say, look at yourself a year before you started practicing mindfulness and then a year after, what sort of difference to your mental well-being did it make?
Yeah, so definitely the biggest difference I have noticed is that I'm now slower to respond to negative thoughts and feelings that I might be having. And I guess that's sort of one of the biggest difference. But the other thing is that now I really feel like it's given me choice. So if something happens in my life, I actually have a choice about how I want to respond to it. So rather than reacting in a knee-jerk reaction, I can now actually pause, get some perspective, and think, right, how do I want to react to this? So for example, if I have a negative thought, I might just think, does this really matter? Is this thought true? You know, rather than going down into a negative spiral. It's actually, I think that's the biggest thing. Mindfulness has given me choice, which has then enabled me to make positive choices and steps forward.
Yeah, that's great. One of those really great analogies for mindfulness is you know, your mind is that blue sky canvas, and the clouds are your thoughts, and you got to look at them, acknowledge them, and let them pass by without lingering on them.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you said that, because so many people think that mindfulness is about stilling your mind, but it is the complete opposite. It's about acknowledging your thoughts and feelings with curiosity and being non-judgmental about them. And then exactly just letting them pass by, because our minds are designed to wander. And it's when when you talk about a cloud, you can either let the cloud consume you, or you can just let it pass you by.
Love that. Love it. What I suppose the best question is now, what works best for you? So, you know, what is your favorite time and your favorite place and favorite everything for your own personal mindfulness practice?
Yeah, so I love bringing mindful awareness into my everyday life. So you're having mindful triggers
Mhm.
during the day. So that could be something like every time I shut down a Zoom meeting, every time I put my password into my laptop, every time I go to get a cup of tea, I will basically use that as an opportunity to check in with myself, maybe, breathe in and out slowly for 60 seconds, just to kind of bring me back to the present moment and to maybe gather any thoughts or feelings I might be having. So I will do a lot of that during the day. And by doing that, it actually makes me really focused and really productive, especially if I have back-to-back Zoom meetings, because quite often you're in one meeting thinking about the meeting that's coming up, and then that meeting comes and you're thinking about the one that's been. So by using that time in between just to kind of focus on my breath, then enables me to just gather my thoughts, focus on the here and now, and then be really productive in my next meeting. So that's kind of what I do during the day. But then in the evening, I love to do a bit of guided meditation. So I will actually put aside a dedicated amount of time, 10, 15, 20 minutes, to just focus on myself, on my breathing, and actually to do a formal meditation.
Great. Yeah, I like the triggers that you said there as well, because a lot of people might say, you know, it's kind of a waste of time. If I'm really busy, then taking 10 minutes out of my day is just going to make it worse. Whereas it's proven that taking a break, especially a mindfulness break, is actually much better for your productivity than just carrying on working. If you're really busy and your mind is racing, then having that 10 minutes to just stop actually massively helps your productivity with the way that your brain's going to work for the rest of the day.
Absolutely. I will never forget. I once had to write a letter for my boss. This was years ago. And I'll never forget this. I basically wrote the letter and placed it on his desk. And to my surprise, when I went into his office, I'd already written the letter and placed it on his desk. And I didn't even realize I'd done it. And that's how kind of automatic pilot I was on. I didn't even realize what I was doing. And I wasted time rewriting this letter I didn't even know I'd done. And this is where people who say, I don't have time for mindfulness can actually make you more productive. And it's worth remembering that.
I love that. If you don't want to make more than one letter for somebody, take up mindfulness. Do it today.
Exactly.
I suppose that the last thing I'd love to ask you, and this is for anyone who's watching, is what advice you would give to others about mindfulness. So I suppose advice you would give to someone who's never tried it, and advice to somebody who's maybe trying it and perhaps not sure about it at the moment.
Okay, so great question. So if you have never practiced mindfulness before, sitting down doing a guided meditation might be a little bit too much out of your comfort zone. So my advice would be to actually just start bringing awareness to an everyday activity like brushing your teeth, washing your hair, maybe eating your food, eating your dinner. So many people, you just scoff your dinner down, you don't even taste it. So, and mindfulness is all about awareness. So that would be my advice to, like, someone who's really new to it. Actually just bring your awareness to an everyday activity and slow it down and actually enjoy it. Maybe if you're going for a walk, actually be aware of, the flowers and the trees rather than just rushing from A to B. So that would be my advice to someone who's starting out. Just start being aware of everything. If you have been practicing a bit of mindfulness and you're like, I don't know if it's really for me, I guess my advice would be keep going. Like I said, it is a practice and you have to practice it. If you were going to start practicing tennis or playing tennis, you would have to build up that skill. Mindfulness is the same. And also there's no right or wrong way to do mindfulness. And if you sit down to do a guided meditation and your mind is rushing around and you can't still it and you think, oh, that was a waste of time, doesn't mean you've done it wrong. That's just the experience. And you've probably still learned something from that. So that would be my advice. If you are already practicing mindfulness, keep going.
That's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely, fully agree with that, because I suppose that especially when starting out, you can feel quite a lot of frustration with it. And then you kind of realize, you know what, this is my time and I can make it what I want to make it. If it's, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you can see, all those sorts of things.
Exactly.
Tailor it to you and make it work for you, because it's such an incredible practice.
Exactly. And I think if you are open to it, you will start to see all the benefits that, people talk about and that have been scientifically proven.
That's great. Exactly. Yes. And that's exactly what, coming from two skeptics here.
Yes.
Scientifically proven.
Exactly.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Karen. I really appreciate it. And thank you everybody for watching this very special Wellbeing Wednesday. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope we've helped somebody out there today. And look up Karen on Mindful Station. I know there's a Facebook page and LinkedIn as well. And there we go. So thank you so much for all your time, everybody.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.